71% of voters believe the future of our country is at stake in this November's midterm elections. That's according to a new poll from the Associated Press, Newark Center for Public Affairs. The poll suggests that voters are motivated despite pessimism about the state of politics. That's why the Hip Hop Caucus is leaning on influencers and hip hop artists to register and educate tens of thousands of voters in the lead up to the election. Joining us now is the Public Policy Director for the Hip Hop Caucus, Chris Walton. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First, can you give our audience a little background on the history of the Respect My Vote campaign, which is now in its 14th year?
Sure. So as you say, we are in our 14th year of doing the Respect My Vote campaign. We have been going states, really pushing people to go out and vote. We started this back in 2004, and with the Hip Hop Caucus started back in 2004. And so we have really been pushing since about 2008, just getting people registered to vote, reaching out to young people between the ages of 18 and 40, encouraging them to utilize the power that they have to get the issues that they care about resolved and get folks engaged.
Well, going off of that, what's your message to first-time voters or uninformed voters? How do you motivate them to get to the polls?
Well, one of the ways that we've been doing it is just making sure that folks know that policy is personal. Looking at the issues that we are campaigning on, issues around climate change, issues around economic justice, student loan forgiveness, making sure people know that voting rights and reproductive justice are on the line, especially in this upcoming election. Making sure that folks know that, their voices are powerful. And we've seen it time and again, but we have to make sure that we let folks know that your vote and your voice counts just as much as anybody else's.
Well, some people will say, I'm just one person, my vote doesn't count. What's your response to that?
That's simply not true. We've seen elections all over the country literally decided by tens of votes, not hundreds of thousands, tens. We can go all the way back to 2000 and show the presidency was decided by 537 votes. We are really pushing hard to get everybody to get out there and vote. And luckily right now, thanks to early voting, from what it's showing, nearly 1 million people in our target states have already voted.
Well, how is the Hip Hop Caucus fighting voter suppression efforts?
We're doing it by getting people engaged early, making sure that they know where their polling places are, making sure they know that they have the information that you need to sign up for an absentee ballot, to go out and show up and vote early, to make sure that we're pushing back legislatively, working around issues against voter suppression, supporting things like the John Lewis Voting Rights Act.
You're working with Queer Eye star Karama Brown for the Respect My Vote campaign. Can you tell me about that and what it means to have someone like Karama supporting your initiative?
It says a lot, especially as a gay Black man myself. We're reaching out to communities that have been left behind and making it clear that, hip hop is not just an exclusive community. Everybody can be part of the hip hop community. We care about issues, especially around LGBTQIA plus issues that are important. And to have someone like Karamo, who has been engaged in working around the community, out helping us push people to get out there and exercise their vote, I think it's extremely important.
Completely. Let's talk a bit about the Geotv Tour. Tell me about that.
So we have been touring around the country in states like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Louisiana to make sure folks know that it's extremely important that you get out there and vote, especially in these upcoming elections. Elections around governor, elections around attorney general, state Supreme Court, Congress, the U.S. Senate, making sure folks know that each of these elections are just as important, if not even more so, than the presidential elections that come every 4 years. These are the elections that decide what happened in your state.
We've seen clean water issues in Jackson, Mississippi, a St. Louis suburb dealing with nuclear contamination. How can this election lead to clean water and economic prosperity in local communities?
If you get out there and elect candidates who care about those issues, especially making sure that those issues are number one tiered on your ballot and you're pushing those folks, we can make sure that those issues are handled. And one of the things that we've been talking about, especially with Respect My Vote campaign, it has been that infrastructure push. Thankfully, we've had a lot of support recently with the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed, really putting a lot of funding into building a lot of these lead pipes, fixing these lead laterals. But we still need more funding because cities are falling through the cracks right now. So we need to ramp up that funding and that spending sooner so that we can fix these water problems, especially in situations like Jackson, because this has been happening on, including in Flint, including in Milwaukee and in St. Louis. So we have to really ramp up those spending to fix that infrastructure.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Chris. For more on the Hip Hop Caucus, head to hiphopcaucus.org.